you seen my kick-ass subscription box anywhere? Oh, there it is.
Hello everyone and welcome to the SIM500 Thursday Night Classic Cup Series presented by Kick-Ass Beef Jerky. My name is Kevin England and tonight I have alongside me Joey Jatina for the call of the race. It's the beginning of a new season. We kick off an 11 race run tonight here at the birthplace of speed, the Daytona International Speedway. We're in store for 80 laps of racing in tonight's Daytona 200, and the drivers will be taking to the track in the iRacing 1987 Cup Car mod. Joey, it's the beginning of a new season, and there's excitement in the air.
And you're probably going to hear it in my voice, Kevin. I'm more excited about everything we got going on tonight. With you in the booth, Kevin, it's been, 13 years we pull you back out and back into sim racing and here at SIM500. And then also to have our good buddy Paul Strickland pushing the buttons for Verdane TV here on the SIM500 network. So it's going to be a hell of a kick-ass night tonight with these 87 Cup cars. A lot of cars in the field, Kevin. This is going to get exciting.
Yeah, I have to say, thanks for the welcome back. I have a couple butterflies myself, but so do all these drivers. And you know what? We have a mix of new and veteran drivers that have run with each other, and drivers who have no idea who the guy is that's going to be running next to him at 180 miles an hour. It should be an interesting show tonight.
Absolutely. And I can't say enough how excited we are tonight. And it's just going to be 80 laps of action all night long here at Daytona. The big one is always around the corner. How long until we see that? And also, Kevin, something that's really cool about this car is this car can get airborne. So we may see some flip overs tonight. That'll be something. So every time we have a flip over, take a drink. It should be exciting.
In this season, all these drivers going to run a 11-run stint, 11 races on some of the bigger tracks. The goals for them, wins, top fives, top tens, no mistake, and hopefully the coveted SIM500 championship. It all starts here tonight, and these drivers have to be nervous about what's going to happen.
It does. It is the start of the season, and that's what we have to. They have to start here. They have to start early. There's no chase in this. It's more of a throwback series, so every point counts, every position counts. So that's the part where tonight you'll see some guys lay in the back, and you'll see some guys that they don't have a choice. They're pedal to the floor and they're to the front. So we'll see who plays what strategy tonight and gets through the end tonight to the end of the race.
Fastest time around this track, set in practice by Mitch Rollo, 43.067 was the time. Here we have the lineup for you tonight. On the pole, Tyler Dalton in the number 9 alongside number 30, Mac McMillan.
Row 2, Mike Kelly, who's won a bunch of races. He was a favorite to win the championship last segment. And then Cole Dutton. He is the hottest driver in the series. So these two guys, row 2 is a hot row. Keep your eye on that one.
Row number 3, John Zerke in the number 71, and alongside the number 33, Forrest Scott in the 6th starting position.
Christopher in the 7th spot. Reed Rundle bringing that Richard Petty color scheme to the Daytona International Raceway. That's one that will be a fan favorite.
9th starting spot, New England's Josh Parker, number 23, and alongside the number 15 of Ricky HARDIN.
Chad Coleman out of Georgia starting 11th, and Timothy Wortman there in the 12th spot.
Nick Silver, number 48, lines up 13th. On the outside, number 84 is John Adams out of Georgia.
The 15th spot's Corey Chester, and the 16th is James Somke.
17th starting spot, E.J. O'Rourke. Had a tough night last night, looking to recover here. And on his outside, Sean Boundy in the number 34.
Glad to see Sean Boundy back here, SIM500. Kevin Brown, he is a hot shoe starting from 19th. And Glenn Campbell, Mr. Trans Service himself, starting from the 20th spot.
21st spot on the grid, 51 is Jeff Ryan, and on his outside, Scott Simley in the number 22.
Starting 23rd, Brindley Addington and Joshua King in the 24th spot.
Pace trucks rolling through the corner here as Mitch Rollo starts the number 98, 25th, and on his outside, the 18 of Brian Follow.
Here we go, Kevin. This starts the season. Mike Montesi, Jason Barham, and crew all lined up. I'll let you call them to the green.
Base truck pulls off, heads to pit road. Everybody's a little bit nervous. Quite a lot of spacing as the green flag drops, and we are underway. One car. It is on the apron. Looks like he's having a little bit of problem. The number 71.
Yeah, it could be strategy. Don't know. It looked like we saw a little smoke. Could be connection, but the John Zurich 71. Oh, he comes back up the racetrack. He's going to hold it down. Big problems for the 71 team. He's going to actually lose control on the bottom of the apron, and this could trigger our first caution of the night.
Yeah, it's so complicated to run down there on the flat. Got himself up on the banking a little bit. Unsettled the car, de-wedged it, and turned it around. Not sure if he's going to have a good night. Out front, the number 30, Mac McMillan.
Here in the first few laps, get the car underneath, you get to feeling it out and rock and roll from there.
So we're having a little technical difficulties right now, but we'll bring that stream right back to you. Beginning of the season, Joey, these guys, they're working together, a lot of them in this race. They have teammates. We see down in the channels that some of them are grouped together in big groups where they're all chatting with each other as they race, and others are paired off in couples, if you will, trying to get things going as Mac McMillan still leads the race out front.
Yeah, it's a popularity contest for sure. The more friends you have, the better it's. It's like Talladega and here at Daytona. So, a lot plays into it with your group of drivers. The more you have, again, going back to that, when you make the strategy call to go on pit road, more guys kind of, they can coordinate whether you take 2 tires, 4 tires, how much fuel you want, and you can literally break away from the field if you've got enough drivers in short pit and then catapult your team back out to the front. So a lot of strategy can be had with the more teammates and the more friends you have in your channel.
It's an interesting car to drive. Either you have a Monte Carlo or a Thunderbird. As you drive it down into the corner, you're hoping that the banking is going to catch you, but you're somewhat in a four-wheel drift as the car just kind of rolls through the corner and you're on edge. It has none of that technical feel that you're used to if you're running a modern Cup car, but it sure is a lot of fun to drive.
It is, Kevin, and it's become a favorite to guys who really like to hang it out there on the edge. It rolls over to the right rear. I mentioned earlier, used to drive more like a dirt late model. You get down the corner, you lift the gas, and when it finally caught, you slam the gas back down. But since the update, it's gotten a little bit better, but you're still not able to run it just wide open. You have to drive this race car.
So Daytona International Speedway, we're running the oval, 2.5 miles. Long straightaways, 3,800 feet, 3,000 feet on the backstretch, 31 degrees of banking, and you gain so much speed going down the straightaway, and then you just plow into that banking and hope the car's going to stick. A lot of guys trying to run the low line right along the yellow stripe is the fast way around here, but depending on how the draft brings you, you might just drive to the outside and see if you can gain some traction out there.
And that's one thing, Kevin, when you talk about the draft and this car here at Daytona, the times we've been out there, it's not a lot of bump drafting like you would get with your normal Cup car or Xfinity or truck. This car right here it's a beast, number one. So you're not going to have a whole lot of lock and bumpers with this car, especially in the corners, because you're really doing all you can just to get the race car to turn.
We should have the stream back any moment now. And Joey, talk about the draft and the dynamic of how much of a hole these cars push coming down that straightaway.
It's a massive wind effect. I mean, the cars draft up really good. You get a great run with this race car. You can feel the old slingshot coming back. And to our audience, I apologize. This is probably my luck, the way things have been going here lately, but we're back to action. See if we've missed anything here, actually under caution right now. So that'll give us a chance to kind of catch our breath with Mac McMillan still leading the race. Mac was leading when we went away on our break there. So Cole Dutton second, and Mike Kelly, again, we mentioned Mike Kelly earlier. He was second in the points in this series last segment. Lost it by, I think, 2 or 3 to Doy Woods. Doy is not here in tonight's event. So Mike Kelly, I think he won 5 races last segment. So he is definitely, as mentioned a while ago, one of the favorites in the number 5 car.
Yeah, and I've been away from this for a long time, but there's a couple names here that surfaced to me that I know you got to keep an eye on. Josh Parker, Chad Coleman, EJ O'Rourke, all names that have been in the business for a long, long time, and have to assume that somewhere along the line that experience is going to pay off running this racetrack with these type of cars.
Well, I have to say, Kevin, you've been around for quite some time. I know you took a little break, but SIM500 hasn't changed too much. We started our fifth season in 2021 since we brought it back to iRacing. Most of the same characters that you remember back in the Monday Night Money series and more that have joined the SIM500 series, and it's more of a series of drivers. I would say SIM500 is going to be more of a more competitive series. It's definitely not a beginner series. Most of the nucleus of this class, again, has been together for some 12 plus years. So you tend to get some great racing out of this bunch majority of the time. But when you come to a track like Talladega, Daytona, you throw that all out the window, especially with a race car like this, too. Everybody wants to lead. You get that draft and you go for it. So it's going to be exciting to see. I want to see some three-wide racing with this car and see actually if they can make it to the corner or not.
Yeah, it's always that interesting dynamic. You're tempted with the draft pulling up to the car, but the car in front of you is 3,700 pounds. You're not going to drive through it. You got to find a way around it. And then you get that dynamic of whether or not you want to pull out there into the air and stall, or whether you have enough momentum to carry past. And you make that decision over and over. And a lot of times, you know this, Joey, you ride half throttle, three-quarter throttle. Sometimes you drag the brake just to stay there, not run over the car, but to stay in line and hold that position.
Yeah, and if Kevin, I wish I was down there in the race cars. Of course, my bad luck that I said continued over here to our broadcast tonight. Again, we apologize for those technical difficulties, but we got it back. We're back on racetrack here. But, we survived a hurricane down here, and then just 2 days ago, an electrical strike. And so we're in the booth, not in the race car. But, Kevin, I guess if you can't be down there driving them, being up here talking about them is almost as good, I think.
Yep, works for me. And I'm interested to see how this plays out on the restart and see if they're going to get 2, 3 wide or whether they're going to stretch it out. You never know how the dynamic in every race is different. They all play out differently. And sometimes you get that breakaway that you alluded to earlier, and other times they just can't get away from each other. They run on top of each other through the whole session, and just have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, the green flag run is definitely what I think most of the drivers want to see. That's what will separate the good or the better teams, the ones that get on and off pit road the best. They're able to get some separation. That's what you want when you come to these racetracks. So you can get a good long green run, get your pit strategy right, get on and off pit road as smooth as you can, and start breaking away as much as possible. So you're not in that big group, and you're not at risk of the big one, which, like I said, that's looming at every corner.
What is your style, Joey? Do you like to run up in the front, try to get away from the trouble, or do you like to hang out in the back and then just come through towards the end?
Well, Kevin, if I was a good qualifier, I'd be up front, but I'm horrible at qualifying. So I always like to say I'm a strategic racer based upon my horrible qualifying. So therefore, I usually stay in the back for most of the race, and I kind of fill it out. Get two different groups. You'll get a group that are back in, they'll back off the lead group, and you'll have the lead group that's really aggressive. And I like to stay really in between those two groups. I don't let the first group get too far away, but I want to get far enough away from the second group. So I like to be the middleman. That makes sense, doesn't it?
I think there's a certain vibe that kind of drives the way things go. And speaking of driving, we're hoping the pace truck's going to pull off this time around. They come around turn 4, and it does make that hard left-hand turn. McMillan, Dutton, Kelly, Scott, Stouffer, your top 5 as we come back, and green flag is out. They look 3 wide for a moment there, but then they tuck back in. The number 2, Cole Dutton, pushing your leader. McMillan, as they go into the banking in turn number 1, the 33 on the outside, Forrest Scott trying to make a run.
That's one thing I got to remember. That number 2 is Dutton. He is probably one of the most aggressive drivers. And there you see contact with the 33 car. The 33 was the one that kind of got things started on the restart. He went 3 wide and finds himself in trouble off of turn 2 with contact with the 2 car.
Looks like Dutton lost a little bit there. The car slid up, got into the side of the 33, went up and brushed the wall, and we're going to draw a caution as the field reassembles one more time. There's the 27 running through the grass out of turn number 2 to the super stretch.
Yeah, it's J. Randall Watkins.
Yeah.
See
we're
what
gonna
happens.
Go back and take a look at the replay and see if we can see what happened in the back of the bag. You know, one of the typical things is they just stack up when things occur up high.
Just off the corner, looks like the car just breaks loose, comes down, makes contact with the 45. It looked like, yeah, big damage for the 45. That's definitely not what you want to see. But for J. Randall Watkins, for guys that don't know, survivor of cancer, we're so glad to have him here at SIM500. Been a rough year or so for him, and like I said, he's having a lot of fun out here on the racetrack. Hate to see he caught some trouble there out of turn 2.
Yeah, blessing for the drivers that they have the pavement down there. They were able to get grip. A couple of them went through the grass, but most of them able to get back to the racing surface and keep control of their cars and tuck back in. No harm, no foul. And Ace Truck picks up your leader, McMillan, one more time. 11 laps of 80 down. Field taking a deep breath. The question is when or if someone's going to pit here. We look like McMillan, your leader, faking everybody out, peeking down there. Nobody's buying it. Everybody else stays up on the racing surface. I have to say, Joey, I absolutely love the look of these cars, especially the back window of the Monte Carlo reminds me of the street cars that look like that are just a total classic these days. Your top 10 at this point, McMillan is the leader. Cole Dutton is second. Mike Kelly in the number 5 sits third. Christopher in the 13 is fourth. Reed Rundle, fifth. Josh Parker holding on to the 6th position. Tyler Dalton in the number 9 is 7th. EJ O'Rourke, 8th. 10th is Mitch Rollo, and Kevin Brown holds down the top 10 in the number 93. Field under caution for the second time as they go down the backstretch. Everybody taking a breather. And, you know, there were butterflies to start the race, and there'll be butterflies every one of these restarts as they come back to the green flag. They're all just trying to settle in. And I'm guessing, Joey, that one of the things that they really want to do is just get some laps under their belt.
2020, go away. The problems continue here at the house. My apologies, we fell out again. So anyways, yeah, sorry what we missed there. Back under caution, not much changed. And that's what I was going to say a while ago, Kevin, is this is the part where we got to get the field off to a start here. You got to have some patience so that when the green flag comes out, if we normally can get, 10, 15 laps or so underneath your belt, that really then sets the tone for the race. But when you come out and you have caution, I know it's a new series, a new car, that really, that changes the whole dynamic of the race to where it almost becomes a sprint race because you're so worried about, well, I don't have enough time to make passes. You got to get them when you can. So let's hope that here as the pace lights are out, or the lights are on the pace truck, that this time around we have a little bit of more of a relaxed start and we kind of get these cars off to what we know and expect out of these guys here at SIM500.
We see a couple cars took advantage to pit, and then we look in the back of the field. We talked about that strategy to ride out back for Scott, Doug Simon, Sigmund, Seth Harrelson, James Somke, a couple of those drivers. They're tucked out in the back there, and you have to think that that's by design. They have not had much time to move forward, but I really believe when you see those drivers back there in the 30s that they are pacing themselves, waiting for some of the attrition. And you can make a lot of room if you make the right strategies and work with your teammates to move through the field. So no panic to run out back there right now, Joey. Some of them doing it on purpose.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about earlier. Again, getting with your teammates, getting a strategy together, missing the big ones early. And, of course, just unfortunately, we have not got the starts that we need that most of these guys are looking for. So as we come around here to take the green flag, like I said, this is the part I expect this point from the race on to kind of tighten up a little bit because, these guys want a little bit more than what we're getting on the racetrack. And we'll start seeing some strategy play out really fast and see who's actually gonna work with who.
76 degrees, a perfect Chamber of Commerce day here in Daytona. Track temperature is 98 degrees. It's not that hot, slick summertime racetrack. Little bit of a grip because the temperatures are low. Pace track pulls off. It's up to McMillan to kick it off, and he stomps on the gas. And he gets a great start, fired out like a cannon, the number 5 of Mike Kelly trying to follow him through. And boy, what a big jump he got, Joey.
Yeah, that's the kind of restarts you need right now to kind of get this race back going the way we need to. Cole Dutton's going to fire around on the outside again. Him and Mike Kelly, those are 2 guys that will be up front all night long. There's the 43 coming up. Is that Richard Petty? No. That's cars flying. Then Josh Parker there sitting in 3rd in the 23, the Interstate Batteries car. The top of the line is running pretty strong here. And actually, you see a little push from the 13, getting Cole Dutton out front.
They see about 12 cars in a big gaggle coming off of that 4th turn, and then they start to break out and separate. And one of the things we noticed when they went down the backstretch, drove hard into the corner, and typical of what you saw in 1987, I remember those days, the car floats up into the corner. It doesn't stick and hook right around that corner. It kind of drives in, and then it eventually just takes that set, and you get in that kind of drift, if you know what I mean, Joey.
Absolutely, and I can tell you what we see right here is series director Ricky Hardin has got on the guys out there on the radio. This is what you look for when you're looking for a good long run. We've got a lot of separation. We got a lot of guys showing a lot of patience to this point. And man, it just takes you back looking at these race cars and some of the angles that Mr. Paul Strickland's given us here on the Verdane TV, powered by SIM500. It gives you chills kind of watching them and coming off of turn 4, kind of almost a Days of Thunder feel to them.
You really get a sense of what Josh Parker is doing and how much work he's doing as the 30 car gets a little loose. Out top, Cole Dutton was running that high line. He was able to take advantage down the backstretch last time to tuck down underneath McMillan. We know he was loose on that earlier one running the bottom line, but he's been able to find that double yellow line right now as they're stacking up behind him.
Josh Parker's not one to ride in second very long, so that's what we'll have to look for is when Parker decides to make that move. As soon as he clears that 30 McMillan, that's when you'll watch that 23 car shoot to the front. He is definitely a guy that likes to lead.
This is where you start to see some of those other drivers that want to move their way forward, start to sneak into the picture. The 43, Reed Rundle, the 12, Scott Simley. They're just hanging back there about 9th, 10th position and making their move forward. This is where teammates start to pay off. One of the dynamics, Joey, is they got to find each other. And then when they do, they can start systematically working off. As we have broken into several different clusters of cars racing around the racetrack.
And Kevin, this is where I said if I'm on the racetrack, I'm at the very back of this front group. That's where I like to ride. Just let these guys race as hard as they want to, but I want to be back there enough when they do wreck. And we talk about it. Josh Parker to the outside now taking a look for the lead. McMillan going to give him a nice shove, and Parker's going to lead lap 17.
Yeah, that outside row is forming really well. You got Mike Kelly in there too trying to push, and they tucked in tight, and they were able to push. The 23, Josh Parker, leads for the first time tonight. Oh, don't count out Cole Dutton, though. He's got a good run from the bottom. And down the backstretch, you can throw a blanket over the top 5.
Slipping and sliding out of turn 2. That's so exciting watching those guys holding on to those race cars as they fight for the lead down the backstretch. Still pushing as hard as they can to get to the front. Into turn 3, still Cole Dutton leads the way. Again, Cole won multiple races in the last segment. Definitely one of the favorites to win the Kick-Ass Classic Cup Series here in 2020.
Dutton's doing a great job gaining that momentum and powering the car through the corner, holding it down, and he is hooking that bottom line. You have to wonder, though, for these drivers running the bottom line, does it impact their tire wear? Are some of these drivers on the outside being a little kinder to their tires driving into the corner hard?
Well, these are those. They want to try to have the bias ply feel to them, the old style tire. We've noticed that we didn't have a ton of tire wear in this car, so there's a very limited number of tires that's given by series director Ricky Hardin. I believe there's only one set of tires, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it's one set of tires, so that does play a lot of different in the strategy side of things, as we talked earlier. When you have unlimited tires, you can fit as many times as you want, but now you got to either stop halfway or you pick that right time to pit, and the caution doesn't come out. Then your rest of your competitors who didn't stop, they're at their older tires. So that's where you do have with the one set strategy flips upside down. Big wreck looks like we got in the back straightaway, and it is in the first group here with Chad Coleman involved in the 38. They're still kind of wrecking here at this point.
Yeah, the 83 of Tim Wertman involved. I saw the 96 involved in that as everybody's kind of scattering over there. And we have caution number 3 on the speedway. We'll see if we can roll this back and figure out what happened. Looks like maybe a tap in the back for the 38. Not sure. Got him sideways going into the corner, and he just couldn't hold it.
Yeah, and it was already sideways going into the corner, and it didn't take much to get him loose. Was that the 94 car of Mitch Rollo or 98 car of Mitch Rollo that got into him? I couldn't really tell. But, yeah, I mean, the cars are already sideways as you get in there trying to get them planted and turned. And, yeah, just a little contact just completely ends the night.
Yeah, and, you see these drivers coming on the scene. It looks like they should just be able to step on the brakes and come down, but there just isn't that opportunity. Wertman came in, brushed the sidewall. I don't think he got a lot of damage. Able to get the car under control, but he was certainly wrestling it there as everybody else taking evasive action.
Well, I guess it's a kind of a situation, Kevin, where we got to wreck out a bunch of race cars to get that long run we're looking for. That definitely had the look of something that could have gone the distance possibly with the separation that we had. Hate to see that kind of a wreck, especially when it's just a car that just did lift off the gas, and unfortunate for Chad Coleman and the 38 team and everybody else involved. And well, actually, we'll talk about Chad Coleman. Definitely say a prayer for his sister out there. She's had some complications over the last couple of days, and just let everybody know in the Coleman family that everybody here at SIM500, you have our prayers, and we hope everything turns out good for you guys.
Yeah, so the field gathers up behind the pace truck. You're going to see a bunch of drivers come to pit road. Some of them have to fix some damage. 21 laps in. Working lap number 22, 1/4 of the race down, and it's kind of hard to call a favorite at this point as we see a good number of drivers taking the opportunity to pit.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. We just don't know who the people are that's going to be at the end of this race or who the favorite is. And I guess at this point, it's just who survives the early wrecks. And then we'll find out. Right now, it looks like if you're in the front, 15 or 20 or so, you're actually in the safe zone right now is what it looks like, because most of our cautions are kind of happening toward the back, which, again, that Coleman wreck, that they were in the front group.
Yeah, so the top 11 stayed out, and at this point, that's good for them because they know who they've been racing around, but this is going to shake up the rest of the field. And we remind everybody, first race of the season, you have a lot of seasoned veterans, but a lot of new drivers, and they're just not comfortable with each other yet. As you get 2 or 3 races in, you start to know who's who and how they run, who you can trust and who you should stay away from. And it's going to take a little bit of psychological study at this point to kind of figure out how to navigate, Joey, through the field and keep yourself out of trouble. And sometimes you could do the best job and you'll end up on the last lap finding yourself in difficulty after having such a great run.
Oh, many times. And there's no resets here tonight either, Kevin. So, I mean, you get damage and you're done. I mean, you can get down there and you can repair as much as you want in your race car. And from that, it just depends. Are you going to have enough to keep up with the field? Obviously, we're looking here at Chad Coleman. We hate to see Sean Bounty. Looks like he's actually retiring from the event. Coleman's still down there. So much damage on that 38 Mellow Yellow Chevrolet. This is not how you want to start the season out as he goes down a lap here.
No, but points matter, so these guys will do their best to get the damage finished, and if they'll release them, they're going to come back out. And, with this body style, there's times when you do have damage, but if you could stay in the draft, you get enough suck up that you could stay with them, even if the car's damaged a little bit. But I don't know about you, Joey. Every time the car's damaged, you just don't feel like it has the same amount of power as it did when you came across the start-finish the first lap.
Yeah, and you'll figure that out quick when you fill that draft and you're all excited and you're ready to pull out and make that pass, and then the car just hits a big wall of air. based on the damage. So that's something that again the draft makes you feel like Superman in this car, to be honest. So, but you'll know again real quick how much damage you have when you do try to get out there by yourself.
You would think you could run this car wide open, but when you get into that corner, you're lifting and you're basically driving the car as much as you can off the right rear wheel. And as the run goes on, you get a sense of how you throw it in. And you do have to pay attention to the draft as you suck up to the car in front of you. It can make the entry to the corner completely different lap after lap.
And that's true. And here we come back around turn 4. The lights are out. This on the pace truck, we're excited to kind of get things going. I mentioned Mitch Rollo a while ago. He's actually in the 3rd spot in the 98 car. Mitch Rollo is a Premier Series champion at SIM500. He is a Trans Service Cup champion, the Monday Night Series. So he's making his return back here full-time racing in the Thursday Night Series. Oh, we've got some trouble here.
Yeah, right
big
there.
wreck on the back straightaway. Excuse me. We didn't even get started good, and there is a massive wreck.
Yeah, and the yellow's going to come out right away. We were just going to call the top 5 coming back, but it looks like somebody stacked up. You know, one of the dynamics of the race is just that accordion occurs. Sometimes drivers trying to catch up, and somebody clips somebody and turns them sideways, and then all of a sudden, track is blocked, no place to go, and everybody who's coming up to speed, trying to stay with the leaders as they get the restart, they end up piling in, and that gives you even more damage. As we come back and look at the replay, let's see if we could figure out where the challenges were.
It looks like we've got possibly in things that happen in sim racing. It's the Jeff Ryan. It's John Muschin Jr.
The 3,
in the 3, and John has had some issues with his computer. Just like in a real race car, you can have issues go wrong with your equipment, and that is obviously an equipment failure at that point where the car just takes an immediate right. So that is a tough break to see that 3 car damaged. One of the better looking race cars on the track. You can see John's not even getting the car moving at this point. So tough break and unfortunate for everybody else in the field to be a part of that one.
Yeah, the biggest hit that I saw was the 44 of Glenn Campbell. He piled in there, and man, a lot of cars took damage in that incident. It almost looks like the wheel, you know, it's similar in real life to the wheel coming off. The car just kind of meanders right and drives across the path of the car is approaching.
Wow, the 44, we talked about it. You can't get airborne. And who would have ever thought that you'd have got airborne on the coming to the green flag like the 44 did? Obviously, a rough night tonight for Glenn Campbell. The Trans Service Logistics Chevrolet, the number 44, is beat all up. So definitely, if Glenn's going to need a lot of draft to keep that 44 strong.
So if we look up front, Dutton, Rollo, Stauffer, McMillan, and Josh Parker are your top 5. How does it feel, Joey, when you're up front and you just want to race and you have these cautions? It's got to get frustrating up there, kind of watching what's going on, because you want to see what your car has, and the fits and starts, that's complicated sometimes for drivers. They just want to be green flag wide open.
Well, yeah, and I don't even think the series director even really has to say a whole lot at this point. I think that majority of the drivers are voicing their opinions about, you know, how this race has kind of taken off. But again, you know, I just go back to it. It's just this year has been, I'm sure, extremely crazy for everybody, and this race is just indicative of the 2020 year. You know, right there we have a caution based upon malfunctions of equipment, which is not something that happens that often. So to see it happen tonight, it just makes perfect sense. I hate to see it for John, and I hate to see it again for everybody else that was involved, but we have got to get this thing out to a good race tonight, Kevin. I really feel like we might be out of cars here soon, so eventually we're going to get some green flag racing.
Yeah, so the top car is staying out front, trying to avoid whatever is going on out back there. And you have to believe, Joey, that they're going to pit about the 40 lap mark, right? Get as much as they can out of their tires if they have one set, split the distance to the finish. But I guess the cautions or opportunities, I don't know, do you want to pit under green? If you run that risk that a caution doesn't come?
Well, I think at this point, the way this race is going, pitting on the green would be, for the league standpoint, would be an awesome thing to see. But I don't think that's going to be an issue tonight. I think that these guys will. They've had enough opportunity. I think still the front 11 cars have still got a set of tires laying in the pits. The rest of the field, they've used those tires. They've gone in. They've got, of course, getting the sheet metal hammered back out on those race cars. So those are the guys we have to watch. I mean, these cars will blow a tire. They will blow a right rear. They will blow a right front. So you have to think about that too. But again, on a track like Daytona, it does. They are slipping and sliding, but this tire is very strong. It will hold up. I don't know that it'll hold up 80 laps, so we'll have to pay attention to when these guys do decide to make their pit stop. Obviously, around the halfway mark is what you want to shoot for, but we'll see with these front 11 when they do decide to go.
So there's 30 cars on the lead lap. The top 11 have yet to pit. Dutton, Rollo, Stauffer, McMillan, Parker, Kelly, Rundle, Simley, Dalton, and Silver make up your top 10. We're lap 27 of 80 at this junction as they roll down the backstretch trying to get things restarted one more time. You start looking at some of these paint schemes. You see the Petty paint scheme. You see the Interstate. Throwback to Rusty Wallace. It's a cool era to look at some of these cars. It brings back a lot of memories.
It definitely does, and that's the great part about iRacing. We have to thank them. They listened, and this has been a series that a lot of people have wanted. If you go back to NASCAR 2000, 3 days, the Aero 88 series was a very popular series. This is a very popular car. It is. It's just the nostalgic look of these things and the way they drive, even inside the cockpit, how great iRacing put these cars together. Here we go now back to green flag racing. Cody Dutton's going to lead them back. Cole Dutton, going to lead us back to racing as we're inside his race car, going down off into turn one. We'll see what kind of restart we get from the rest of the field.
Going through the gears as they drive into turn number one. Side by side, top cars. Nobody's been able to break away on this restart. Hopefully the low line can hold their line out of turn number two, and they seem to do that. Everybody kind of on eggshells right now, trying to get themselves up to speed as they scream down the backstretch. Look at the move from the 9 to the outside. It's an interesting dynamic to try and figure out which lane is going to move forward.
It is, and also, too, what lane you feel like is going to be the safest. Tyler Dutton is our latest winner here at SIM500 as he found his way into victory lane. Actually, it's the Kick-Ass Truck Series we have on Wednesday night, so Kick-Ass is a big part of what we're doing here on Wednesdays and Thursdays. They're out front, or he was out front last night at least, and Tyler has been extremely hot. He's one of the faster guys in the Truck Series on Wednesdays, and he's I believe he won a race or two last segment, so we look for that 9 car to be a contender not only tonight but for the overall championship.
I have to say the 43 seems to have my favorite paint scheme. Reed Rundle running there. What a neat design. It really does harken back to that era and the different styles of cars they had.
And you see Reed Rundle coming out of the corner, dirt tracking that race car. He's an old modified driver, so that's something he's comfortable doing as they all come sideways through the triangle. This is the part right here where we do have the separation. We talked about earlier, everybody looks to be a little bit more, I think they've had enough time running under caution right now. So right at this stage, it's guys are kind of getting a little, distance between the car in front of them. They're kind of riding around the racetrack. I don't see too many aggressive drivers at this point. But the cars that are clean, they're all in line, ready to get to the finish of this race.
Yeah, they're running a little bit tighter up front. Everybody else is given a little more space. You see them spread out a little bit as they drive into the corner. We got 3 wide there for the 3rd position. Number 30, McMillan, who's been up front, is struggling to keep that car up front. The car looks like it's all over the place, but he's able to tuck into that outside lane. And now hopefully he'll get a push and be able to come forward once again.
That was the best thing I think everybody in the front saw was a little give from the 2 of Cole Dutton, because if not, that could have been big. 3 wide is not something you want to do here. Look at this off of turn 4, not defending, but one of the Premier Series champions, Mitch Rollo, has now found his way back out front, somewhere he knows very well. The Trans Service Cup champion from 2 years ago, out leading the field back at SIM500 for his first full-time ride since that championship.
And that shot just shows you how much in the slip they are when they go through. The car has a yaw to it. It's just kind of floating through the corner. They have their hands full. And you get that feel. It is almost like dirt track racing going into the corner where you're waiting for the car to just hang in there, and then you just drive it off the banking and see if you can get to the straightaway.
And the more the heat in the tires, the more the car's going to slide around. They're 2x2 now. The 30 McMillan is going to make his run to the top of the racetrack. He's been right there at the front all night long. Back behind him, Cole Dutton. He's pushing him. We got to move to the bottom of the track now.
Yeah,
McMillan now is in front of the 98.
As Dutton was coming down the backstretch, he took a peek to the outside as a couple slow cars up against the wall, letting the leaders drive by cleanly, and they're going to make a little contact. One car going around. Yellow out. We saw that take place, and boy, I tell you, one of the tough things to do, Joey, is hang out on the top, let the leaders go by and stay out of their way. And unfortunately, the 133 there just caught the fence and got the car turned around.
Yeah, I was watching that. It looked like possibly the 3 car again up against the wall. This would be the second caution on that car. Maybe another malfunction of his system again. Not really sure. I think the admins will have to bring that race car down and have them go down the pits and get that thing fixed before they get him out on the racetrack, because he was clearly stuck up in the wall. The 133 just nowhere to go.
Yeah, and that's tough for Dennis Briegel and the 133, that Terry Labonte throwback scheme, and this will bring us under caution number 4 for the evening. 33 of 80 laps done. And right now you see Mac McMillan, who's leading the event, just slow through the corner here. Where's the rest of the field? That's the question as the leader. Pace truck coming off the banking, trying to catch up to our leader, and they'll reassemble and collect the field. This 33 laps in, maybe still too early to pit. We'll see if anybody takes that advantage. Certainly in the back, if you have a little bit of damage, you might duck in and get some work done on the car, but it still looks like at least our top 9, maybe 10 of the top cars did not go to pit road yet. And we'll see as they collect the field here whether or not some of these drivers take the opportunity this time.
Well, we're halfway at this point, so I think anybody that's happy right now are the guys that have been involved in these wrecks. I mean, caution after caution. I mean, they're able to get in there and get these race cars repaired and try to somewhat salvage what kind of, what they're going to have tonight. That's the only good that comes out of this. Those guys are licking their chops back there. They've got all the damage, hoping to get those cars repaired so they can come back out here and contend for a top 20.
They're single file here, rolling out of turn number 2 to the backstretch. We see Workman, Silver, O'Rourke, Simley, King, some of the other ones taking the opportunity to pit this time. Everybody else kind of settling in. You see the drivers running through the apron. They'll go and collect the field. You see that Jeremy Mayfield throwback paint scheme, the number 12 there with mobile wings on the side, as these drivers finish up their service, and they're going to join back up.
The 71 is John Zarek, has now got our lucky dog. He was the driver that had the trouble on the very start of the race. So he is your lucky dog. You can see he's got a little bit of damage on the front of that race car, but he will be able to get back one of his laps.
Life Buoy Soap. How about that? That's a... Who was it? Dave Marcus that ran that brand back in the day?
I'm going to say I'm too young to know that. I don't know.
I think I'm old enough to know that. Could be wrong. That's something somebody's going to have to Google for us out there.
Yeah, that's like, that's a good thing when you run across stuff like that as you get older. I'm 41, so say I'm too young to know that. I'm glad I can say something like that at this age.
Did you ever see a race with the cars in this era?
I got into NASCAR in the late 80s. So yeah, I mean, the race I remember was here at Daytona. Bobby and Davey won 2, and I was just captivated at that point. Just enough that it wrecked my entire life until I made it to Daytona. I actually participated as a driver and kind of went about like this race. But I didn't hit anything, so that's one good thing. But yeah, I mean, it's that the era back then, the cars were just gorgeous. But you had the personalities, and that's, you go down a list of all the guys, Earnhardt's, Labonte's, Wallace's. That's what made NASCAR what it is today. And I think when you look at these race cars, you remember back to those heroes and Bill Elliott, those guys, and just what they meant. They weren't race car drivers to a lot of us. They actually were like extended family. So yeah, I love this. This is when NASCAR was great. Let's make NASCAR great again.
Yeah, this is certainly the time of Bill Elliott in that number 9, the red car with Coors on the side. And I remember seeing Tim Richmond live win in the Folgers car at Pocono. So yeah, this definitely means a lot to the heritage of NASCAR. And a lot of these drivers really appreciate, like you said earlier, to be able to run this sim. So let's restack the field. Coming out of turn number 4 for the restart, Mac McMillan has been up front all afternoon. Mitch Rollo, Cole Dutton running third outside, second row. Chris Stouffer, Josh Parker, Tyler Dutton, Mike Kelly, Reed Rundle, Forrest Scott, and Ricky HARDIN make out your top 10 as they go back under the green flag. And a good jump by Mac McMillan. We'll have to see if the 13 of Stouffer can give a push to Mitch Rollo and get them up there coming off the backstretch.
Into turn 1 looked like the 2 of Cole Dutton. Yes, he did make the move to the top of the racetrack. He's going to try to go after the lead. He cannot sit back there very long. He likes to lead. That 2-car running quickly off turn 2. Rollo pushing the back of McMillan to make sure that does not happen as they get ready to turn off into turn 3.
You have to wonder if Rollo wanted to go out there or whether he got shoved and just decided I'm going to go do it. As rev limiter hits the top as they go into turn number 3. See how fast they go around the banking. Field kind of spread out there, back in the last 10th, 12th position as everybody drives off the corner. But these top guys, they're running nose to tail as they come through the tri-oval. And yeah, that too. Rollo, he is definitely looking and hunted for the lead just
and you'll see, you talked earlier, they got the new drivers here in the series, and you got the old guard, Rollo and Parker, 2 guys that have been at SIM500 a long time, know each other's race style, against the 2 newer drivers to SIM500. That's McMillan and Cole Dutton, battling it out 2 by 2 down the back straightaway.
I start looking in that second group to see who is starting to come forward. I see E.J. O'Rourke in the 41 running 12th, Kevin Brown in the 93 running 11th as caution out. 1 car sideways there. See a little bit of smoke, everybody scatters. And they're going to reassemble one more time. We'll go back and see if we can figure out what occurred there. The 43 just either lost it or got sideways, not really sure. As we watch the replay, maybe we can get a better sense. The 15 involved in that, Ricky HARDIN, the 33 down there. And they went in the corner. As we'll watch it play out, the 33 pushes up a little bit, bounces in, turns the car sideways. A couple other cars taking evasive action. Not a lot of damage to the cars. Good run, evasive action down there on the bottom by the car that's ducking off into pit road in that shot.
Yeah, it's just another wreck you hate to see happen that could have easily been avoided right there by just lifting off the gas pedal. Just too much aggressiveness in this race, and that's kind of why we're sitting here running half the race under caution, basically. So hopefully these guys will get these cars dialed in. This is, again, we'll go back and look. We mentioned we had, I think it was a front 11 who had not stopped to get tires. We'll see if they take advantage of this caution, and as we are near the halfway point.
Yeah, as it looks right now, McMillan, Dutton, Rollo, Parker, Dalton, Kelly, and HARDIN have not been to pit road, but that's going to change as we see our leaders peel off. Here comes the 30 down, and my guess is 4 tires and fuel for all of these drivers.
4 tires and fuel will be the call, and the next thing is who stays out. And then also you got to think, a lot of these drivers have already taken their tires, so they're probably going to jump out here ahead of these. I think it was 7 drivers who still had taken their sets of tires. So it's going to be interesting to see where McMillan and Parker and Rollo and all these guys fall into line as these pit stops get complete.
Good 30 plus drivers all on pit road taking the opportunity here at the halfway break. 35 drivers still running, and some of them quick pit stops and off, but you're going to see that the guys have been running up front now will be mid-pack, and that should change the dynamic of the race.
Well, we'll have to see how aggressive they are to work their way back to the front. Again, some of these race cars are going to probably have a little damage. Possibly it's going to be in front of them. Although if you did have damage, you'd be taking a little bit more time down there to get these cars fixed. But strategy plays into it, taking a little less fuel. Or if some of these guys, they pitted on each of these cautions, I mean, they could be sitting good on fuel at this point. So they wouldn't need quite as much. You got Scott Simley now out front. We mentioned him a while ago, the Jeremy Mayfield throwback. Simley has been a fixture here at SIM500 for quite some time. He's a race winner. He's a champion. He's one of the hardest drivers out in the field that you'll race against. So the 12 car assumes the lead, and actually he's got a clean race car, Kevin.
It sure does look clean, but we know that Wertman running third in the 83, he had a little brush with the turn 2 wall, saw some damage on the back bumper of that car, but there he sits in third. So we'll have to see. You have to wonder if those cars will run slow and everybody realizes that some of these cars have damage, or will he be able to stay with the pace? We'll be able to see this time damage on the nose of the 87. Car looks a little bit banged up. You can see the gaps in the hood. Same thing with the 93, and certainly the car behind him looks bashed. The 51. Yeah, so there's a clean car. The 41 EJ looks good.
And EJ O'Rourke that was the car I was going to say, Kevin, the one we need to watch. EJ is always there. And on plate race period, EJ is one of the better drivers here at SIM500. He is aggressive to a certain point, but he's also very strategic in what he does. He was the first race car off of pit road. He is clean. So I look for EJ O'Rourke to be one to go around some of these damaged race cars and assert himself as one of the favorites. He's missed most of the action, most of the crashes. Let's see if he can finish it off here, but I would pick EJ O'Rourke as right now one of the favorites.
As we look down through the field, we see that every single driver at this point has made at least one pit stop. Some of them have made 4 or 5. We're looking at the field reshuffled, and I see some new names up there. Bill Schoonover is running in 9th right now. I know Bill is a strong veteran. I still am going to go back to some of these drivers that they've been just biding their time. I'm going to guess on Mike Kelly. That's going to be my driver to win tonight. How about you? What do you think is going to happen here?
Man, as a producer, I don't usually get to make a pick as we're getting ready to come back to green, but I'm gonna go with Josh Parker, man. I've seen him race at Stafford Speedway. He hopped in a rent a race car street stock a few years back. Had his own U.S. Army sponsored machine, and he's been strong all night. He just made a pit stop, and I think he's gonna come home with a victory here tonight as we come back to green.
So Josh Parker running 19th, and that's the pick from our producer Paul Strickland. Green is out. They drive back into turn number 1. Everybody's scattering all over the place. I think that answers the question about whether some of the damaged cars would have some speed. Everybody sorts out. They seem to be getting single file. It is the 07 that did not take off. He's running the high line. Everybody kind of clean around him now. As they roll down the backstretch 3 wide at one point, and I think everybody's going to settle in here as we go back out front to 12 of Simley holding court. Now to the outside, Joshua King making the challenges there 2 by 2 by 2 all the way through to about the 8th position.
I was watching that Dick Trickle Miller highlight, number 99 of Jason Barham. He was going to take a look to the outside there. He was up in the front, top 4, and got shuffled as Rolo slid his car, that 96, in there to take the spot. He's going to shuffle the 99 car backwards a little bit, but as we mentioned, the cars that pitted, here comes Rolo blasting through the field. Cole Dutton now on the bottom. He's also charging to the front. These two guys, they want to lead. McMillan right behind them. They've also got around EJ O'Rourke, we talked about a while ago. Very aggressive racing as they go off into turn 3.
Yeah, Rolo was below that double yellow line. He had to get back up and get some racetrack before he got to turn number 3. He was successful in that, and now he finds himself charging back out to the front, running 3rd position right now. As they get single file on that bottom line, only one car to the high side. That's the number 35, not in the mix for the lead lap. As they don't wait long. Here they go, side by side again, out of turn number 2 to the backstretch.
If we could get a little bit of green flag racing, man, you get a taste of what these cars can do and what these drivers can do. Kevin Brown right now, who you saw earlier make contact with the 38, he's out front leading this field for a short period of time. But Cole Dutton is going to be trying to make his way to the front. Here is he outside now, the number 12. Dutton off the corner with Rolo behind him. They should be into one as the favorites.
Dolo and Dutton, they just seem to be hooked up and driving to the front. The two of them have clean cars in that outside lane right now. We'll see if they can push themselves out and get back to the bottom as they roll into turn number 1. You see the leader, the 93 of Kevin Brown, just a touch sideways. That's going to allow the number 2 of Dutton to pull ahead. And they have a good run on the outside coming down the backstretch. Well, as soon as you say that, the inside line prevails as Dutton rolls out to the front. Is he looking in the rearview mirror, looking to see which line is going to push him? Maybe he moves high, maybe he moves low, blocks whatever run is coming, gets in front of it. Right now, down low through the tri-oval across the stripe, finish lap number 44. You have to remember all these drivers who were up front pitted for tires. The car is going to feel really good as they drive it into the corner. And that's starting to get racy. Got the 133 low down there on the backstretch. Looks like about 12, 14 cars in that lead group. Big break off into the backstretch. I think I see smoke out there in turn number 1. Not sure what that was about. Little bit of a breakaway. First time for Dutton as he's able to get a little gap, a little breathing room. And I'll tell you what, Kevin Brown hanging tough on the inside, just tucked in the tire tracks there as they roll through the tri-oval, complete lap number 45.
Sliding through the tri-oval we talked about earlier. That would be a lot of fun to be out there with the race cars right now. You see him off into turn 1, completely sideways. Rolo battling the 98 of Kevin Brown. They're fighting hard for the second spot. You know, Rolo doesn't like to see that number 2 car out front. He's giving it all he's got to get back up there to take the lead.
Yeah, you get that time where every time you drive in the corner, you think the car's going to behave a certain way, and every once in a while, it just goes to a mind of its own and drives up across the track, and you wrestle it back down. That's the adventure of this particular type of series. And I see that 30, McMillan, hanging back there in 8th place, just slowly, methodically working his way forward.
Will he find the friends? That's what you got to say. Mac McMillan, new to SIM500, making one of his very first starts, or I don't say his first start, but he's very few starts here at SIM500. So he's got to make friends early and fast to get that number 30 back to the front of the field.
So we're running a little bit green right now, knock on wood. Everybody kind of settling in, finding their pace in their car. Up front continues to be Dutton and Brown leading the way with Rolo and Simley. Simley did a great job, worked his way into that top 5 and is just hanging there. Not changing lanes, flipping all over the place, just tucked into the tire tracks of the car in front of him, the number 2 of Cole Dutton. That's a good car to follow, don't you think, Joey?
That's a car that likes to lead, but as you saw coming through the corners there in 3 and 4, the 2 got completely sideways, which gave the outside 2 cars of Rolo and Kevin Brown the opportunity to get back around him for the lead. Looking back, though, Dutton now has got the car back under control. That's got to watch as the track gets hotter, the tires get hotter. It just causes for more slippages as you get down the corner.
You could just see how much these cars buffer in the air as they go down the backstretch. It's not straight line. They just kind of move all around. That back camera shot was pretty clear as the number 2 tucks back down. You got an inside line forming, but on the outside, it looks like they want to be able to come up there and contest for it as the 35 of Joshua King. I thought he was a lap car, but he's in the mix and he's running in the top 5 for the first time.
Yeah, and you watch it here, and what I was thinking a while ago is you look about these cars that, you know, when the leader gets out front, they're making a pass on the outside, and they jump back down to the bottom. Waiting to see when somebody just decides to keep the top of the racetrack and hold the lead. It looks like the bottom of the racetrack is getting really loose. We'll see here is now we've got Dutton going back for the lead. He slides up the racetrack. Kevin Brown looks really sturdy down there at the bottom of Rolo tucked up behind him.
Yeah, this is when things starting to tighten up. They're starting to get racy. They want to get their track position. They're trying to figure out what they have in the car, how the car is going to react with the car in front of them, and who they can work with. And everybody's picking and choosing their battles right here, trying to do what they can to leapfrog up and get themselves into that top position for the final run.
And here we go, back to the back straightaway we come. The 2, Cole Dutton, still looking for that lead. Cars are dicing, doing all they can to keep these race cars underneath them. They've got 4 cars now stacked up to the top as Josh Parker now has joined that. He was the pick there of our producer, Paul Strickland. Here we go, lap car now. They're going to go 3 wide out of turn 4. Hopefully everybody can get through. 38 looked to be a little stuck on the wall, but he did a great job getting it back down. Everybody's going to make it through clean.
Yeah, as they come across the finish lap number 50. Everybody kind of picking and choosing their lanes right now, but it seems to have settled down. They found a little bit of rhythm. As much as you see some of the top cars charging, they're doing it very methodically right now. They're picking and choosing their battles. Before, they were just trying to get a sense of where they could get those runs, but it seems like everybody's kind of settled in right now. They've gotten very comfortable with each other and where they're running.
Coming up on another lap car, and that's something that we're going to see now as we have got out to a good green flag run. We do have the big separation of the cars that are damaged. They're going to run this pack into these lappers who are struggling to hold on these race cars. So it's where you catch them is what your fate could be. If you're in the corner sideways and you're 2x2, it's definitely not the place to catch these lap cars. So I know they're glad to catch that one on the front straightaway.
Yeah, it's always interesting when they encounter a lap car. Is the lap car slow because it's damaged, or is it just because they've lost the draft? Sometimes those lap cars tuck in somewhere in the middle, and then they become a new ally to somebody down there, and they know that the car is lapped, and they just kind of try not to mess things up.
Josh Parker now looking to the front here. He goes to the top of the racetrack, kind of by himself right now on Stouffer. Now he's looking on top of the 12 car. Does Jason Barham go up there and help him? They got Mike Kelly back there. They both kind of took a look. I don't think that, they're going to give a little help to Parker here. Well, the kind of run stalled, but right now Parker left alone.
Yeah, Parker trying to see if he can find some friends out there. As you look at out front, Kevin Brown has taken command of the race. Mitch Roller running in his tire tracks, and the 2 has been hunting all afternoon, but now he seems to have settled down there in third. But as soon as I say that, he jumps out. I think he saw Josh Parker coming and wanted to see if he can get some momentum on that high side.
And that's all Dutton needed. He needed to see that at 23 coming because he knows he's fast. Dutton jumps out front where Parker was looking for a little help back there. Guys thought about it, but they didn't go. We got a wreck here.
Yeah, caution out as the cars come through the trioval. They're going to slow it down, back it down. There looks like there was an incident out on the backstretch as everybody now going to gather back up into a big cluster, and everybody gets a little bit of a breather. They did an assessment of how the car ran during that stretch and what they have to do to get themselves forward. Looking to see if we can hunt the reason. Looks like one car down low. Hard to pick out the number. It's a red and black car. Got sideways off the apron out of turn number 2 to the backstretch, it looks like. Came across the racetrack. It's the 15. And big contact. 15 is Ricky HARDIN. Just looks like he lost it going in. The car got sideways, tried to catch it. Kind of got it back, and then it broke free and lost it down onto the flat and came across the racetrack and just had a handful for the car. Sometimes when they're damaged, they just don't drive the way you want them to.
There was a report that we had a blown tire on the 15 because that is definitely uncharacteristic of a series of Ricky HARDIN, and you could see it right there. That right rear just exploded.
Right rear, yeah. Right rear
and he
down.
is on. There's nothing more he can do. Chad Coleman there to hit him hard. Harrelson hits him as well. The night is over, needless to say, on the 15 car.
Yeah, HARDIN spinning like a top down there on. Wow. How many twirls was that? Sure looked like 3 or 4 in my count.
I give him a 7.5.
Yeah, Simone Biles, he is not. Well, now they come back to it. Everybody's going to line up and get set up and look to see what they can do to figure out their tactics. Joey, do you know this whole series is sponsored by Kick-Ass Beef Jerky? And I'll tell you what, they got some specials going on. You could pick up a summer sausage twin pack, or you could take a look at the variety pack. You could taste several of their different offerings over there if you go to kickassbeefjerky.com, and they got some specials for SIM500. Joey? Oh, Gremlins.
Oh, the Gremlins here tonight, 2020 in full effect here. SIM500's debut here on Vidane TV. But absolutely, kickassbeefjerky.com. Use the promo code SIM500. Get yourself 19% off. And I haven't ordered any myself because I just kind of jumped on the boat here, but I'm definitely going to order some tomorrow morning. Looking at their website, taking a look at their commercials, looks like they got themselves a kick-ass snack product there. So we'll be picking some of that up tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, promo
Yes.
code SIM500, 19% off. And, you know, another thing they have is free shipping on orders of $50 or more. So go check that out. It is kickassbeefjerky.com.
Man, $50 is a lot of beef jerky. That might last me like a day or two.
Yeah.
We just actually got ours in the mail not too many weeks ago, and the worst part is you think that, Paul, but when you actually taste kick-ass products for the first time, it's bad for us here because being in Alabama, that's more of a northern where you can walk in the store and buy it. We have to order it and get it shipped down here, and it's gone on the second day. I love the turkey jerky they have. That's probably my favorite, and then their original kick-ass sticks are unbelievable. I still have a few sticks left. I hide those so the wife can't find them. So I'm excited I've got to get another order in again. But there's like just a few that I just wish they'd just bring a truckload down for me, and I'd be just happy.
I know I'm often referred to as the jerky guy. And what I mean by that is when we go racing on the weekends and I walk into the trailer with the beef jerky and set it down, and it's gone by the end of the night. So I know I'm going to be ordering. So.
Well, it's so good that I can tell you that we stopped buying anywhere here locally. So we only eat kick-ass beef jerky. It is that good. That's not just because they're a part of SIM500. Again, kick-ass beef jerky, a part of two series. We have the Wednesday night truck series, kick-ass truck series on Wednesday nights. That's on OSR and TV. Getting down to the final few events, we mentioned Tyler Dalton picked up the win last night in Las Vegas. Heck of a race last night, 3 and 4 wide for the win. We'll see if he can make his way back to the front here and go 2 for 2 at SIM500. Pace truck, the lights are out on the pace truck. We're coming back. We'll see how many laps we can get under green, but this is go time now, so the intensity is going to pick up. So we thought the first half was tough. Hey, here we go back to racing, Kevin.
Yeah, you got 29 cars on the lead lap as they kick the green one more time. Side by side, good restart on the inside. And they're going to run side by side all the way through. No hiccups on that restart as they go into turn number 1.
Off into one, everybody's still 2 by 2. The car that just came into my eyesight, but that's that number 02, the Crown Chevrolet at Shannon Wood. We hadn't mentioned much about Shannon. That car is clean, sitting right now in the 14th spot. Watch out for Shannon in that Crown Chevrolet. It's going to be interesting to see where he winds up. Is that car, yes, again, is perfect. So he's got an opportunity to drive that thing to the front.
Yeah, you're starting to see some of those drivers who were hanging out back drive their way through. And wow, really looks up off the corner. We see him go sideways. He's going to go down into the apron. Not sure if he made contact, but yep, able to woe it up the number 33. Good job at keeping that car off the fence. That was complicated trying to keep that from going out. And more contact, and this is going to be a big one coming out of turn number 3. We're going to collect a bunch of cars. The 30 is around and upside down. 13's involved. 93 is involved. Everybody else hard on the brakes trying to miss the 13 sitting down there on the apron. And we're going to go back to yellow one more time.
Man, what a first night of racing. Have we got everything you could expect besides racing? Big wreck, though. I mean, big wreck. This is something that they didn't want to see. If you go back and look at the replay here, watch one car that comes through. We just talked about him. Shannon Wood, how he dodges this wreck. This is going to be a great thing for Shannon. But just sideways, the 13 of Stouffer just lost control. McMillan, who's been one of the favorites, one of the strongest cars all night, destroyed his night's over. But there you go. That 02 car, still clean, went right on through.
And you see they're making a lot of contact down there, even off the track. The 13 of Stouffer just lost it in the high side. And we were talking about how the car goes down, and you expect the banking to hold the car. But every once in a while, that weight transfer goes over to that right rear. You get a little bit too much, and the car just starts in that death spiral. And unfortunately, the 13, who was up front all night long, had a clean race, just lost the handle, got sideways in front of a lot of cars, and everybody piled in.
Yeah, good night for a lot of cars that were right there in the front. So again, look who's still here. Mitch Rollo leading the race. Josh Parker second. Mike Kelly, who's been quiet. He's been there all night long, sitting there in the third spot. Cole Dutton still clean. As hard as he's been racing, sitting there in the fourth spot. And then Jason Barham. We got a little damage to that 99 car, but he is in the top five and seems to be pretty strong. He's been able to hold that Miller High Life Chevrolet there in the front.
I was talking with Tim Wortman Jr., who you're riding with, about this race, and he said it was one of the first times he's run with the group, and he didn't know what to expect. He was just going to try and pace himself, stay clean. Even with that strategy, sometimes it's difficult to do, but with a lot of damage to all of these cars, I think he's as good off, is that a phrase, as everybody else at this point. You have a couple guys up front who know how to get the job done, Kelly Dutton or whatever, but Wortman having a solid run here in the top 10, running 6 right now.
Well, something to think about here. The top 10 pitted like 25 laps ago, so we could possibly get into a little bit of fuel mileage race. But again, these caution laps do nothing but help. So at this point, who knows what's going to happen based upon the amount of cautions we're getting.
If you look at the top 4 cars, Rollo, Parker, Kelly, and Dutton, they only pitted once. They've been in one time for fuel, and a lot of strategy occurs when these drivers shut the motor off to try and keep the fuel mileage up as they roll down the backstretch, just coasting the car, trying not to create any drag. Some drivers will even run down on the apron in order to conserve fuel when they're low. As they roll through the banking here, everybody's going to be collecting their breath right now. Joey, how do you win this race at this junction? 20 laps to go. What's your strategy?
Well, at this point, survive. You have to really, with the amount of cautions you had, I mean, it's a points day, really. You get what you can get. If you can get out front, do it, but don't put yourself in jeopardy.
You have a couple drivers out there that are one lap down trying to eke their way around. And with the attrition, they just keep climbing. So even if you have damage your cars off the pace, you're going to stay out there, stay out of trouble, and see if you can collect as many points as possible. Let's do a quick field rundown. We'll go through the top 20. Rollo is your leader, Parker in second. Second row is Mike Kelly and Cole Dutton. Jason Barham, Tim Wortman, 5th and 6th. Jimmy Coleman in 7th. Corey Chester in 8th. The 9 of Tyler Dalton running in 9th. 02 of Shannon Wood in 10th. Mike Montesi and Randy Yoakum round out the top 12. Doug Simon, Seth Harrelson, 13th and 14th. 15th is held by Dave Newell in the 45. Todd Kirkwood running 16th in the 94. Gerald Livingston running 17th in the 97th. 18th is James Somke. John Zerke running the number 71, sits in 19th. And 20th is the 35 of Joshua King. I'm looking back there, Joey, and I see Bill Schoonover in the 9. Not sure if Paul can give us a view, but if he's not damaged, I wouldn't be surprised if he just kind of riding.
Well, Bill Schoonover, if you remember back in the day, Bill was one of the toughest super speedway drivers you could get. But unfortunately, that number 09 Coors Light is destroyed tonight.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was one of those guys kind of sneak. Every once in a while, you find one that sneaks up. Well, we're going to get ready to get this thing through, and everybody's trying to figure out what their strategy is. They want to get towards that top 5 and have a shot for the win. Side by side, as the green flag comes back out again, it's Rollo and Parker that have control of the field as they race off to turn number 1.
Slow getting going was the 23 of Josh Parker. He checks up the field. Dutton has to get on the brakes, and Mike Kelly's then going to take the advantage off into turn 2 as he's going to run for the second spot. Jason Barham's going to try to follow on through, but it looks like Parker's got that 23 Interstate Battery Chevy back up under power as they head down the back straightaway.
Hey, you got a little bit of assist there from the 2 of Dutton when he got to the back bumper and pounded Josh Parker forward. And now he's got a great run going into turn number 3. They're kind of spaced out, but they're also looking for opportunities. He drives down the banking to get a good run out of turn number 4. Here they come down the front stretch. Everybody fanning out, looking for whatever opportunity, trying to figure out what lane they're going to get as they roll through the tri-oval. Out front, Rollo in control of the race, trying to do what he can to stay out front, prevent anybody from going around him. But I think Josh Parker has a different idea running up on that high side.
Yeah, this is the time you want to fill it out. You haven't had a whole lot of time to really get a game plan of how you're going to go out there and get the lead. We haven't seen the outside just dominate and go around. The inside's been able to hold off at times. You need the car on the inside to have an issue like Rollo as he just went into turn 3. The car hits the apron a little bit, scoots up the racetrack. They checked up Mike Kelly, but as you see, no advancement at it. Sideways off turn 4, still with a 96. That's going to bunch the field up.
Got to give a call to the 99 of Jason Barham. He has got a little bit of damage out on the back, but he's hanging in tough. This is where we talked about if you can get in that draft, stay tucked in there, even a car that's a little bit dinged up can stay right in there, and he's running pretty well.
Yeah, Jason Barham knows how to get it done on the super speedways. And again, with the damage, it's the question, can he go to the outside? Can he make a pass by himself? But here down the back straightaway, someone who's not led tonight, the number 5, Mike Kelly, he's going for the lead on the outside with help from Josh Parker.
It sure looked like he poked a nose out front, but now he's drifted back a little bit. We'll see if he can get back and lead one at the stripe. Here they charge out of turn number 4 side by side for that second position. Kelly looking to see if he can get any sniff of the draft, any sniff of clean air to try and get that car forward. Now he's out front. Will he pull down and get that yellow line? Yes, he's going to do that. Tucks right down in tight, and Rollo is going to roll into second place as here comes the Parker car on the outside trying to get the run same way that Mike Kelly did.
And they're racing hard. It's some of the names you've heard all night long. And look who there, the number 6 is coming in here. He's got in front. Cutting sideways.
Wow, look at that. He's trying to hold it. Is he going to save it? He's going to get sideways. And, how did he save that car?
Wow. Unbelievable. He saves the number 2. Cole Dutton shows the talent, saves the race car, and we stay under 3. Rollo now charging back to the lead and a fight Kelly off into turn 1.
That's the highlight reel for sure. Unbelievable save out of turn number 4. So side by side out of turn number 2 to the backstretch. Here comes the 98 of Rollo trying to get the run. He's got no help on the outside. And there's one of those lurkers, the number 6 of Corey Chester, tucked right in tight with Mike Kelly, trying to give him the push. He's going to give him the advantage, but hard into the banking goes the 98 of Jason Barham. He's looking to see if he can pull the momentum out of turn number 4, side by side for the lead. They're coming upon some of these lap cars. We're going to see whether they're going to get out of the way or use them as a pick. Side by side with another lap car, tight to the outside, but everybody able to get by cleanly there, Joey.
I tell you, one guy we got to give a big shout out to is the 23 car, Josh Parker. That was everything he could not to get in the back of Dutton and cause that caution. Parker's now regathering. He's going to come back up to the back bumper of the 9, and he is going to try to get back into this race and try to contend for the win.
6 cars tucked in 0.6 of a second behind your leader. Then 1.3 second back is Jimmy Coleman. Then a break. Cole Dutton has slipped back to 3.4 seconds after saving that car. And everybody's kind of spread out now. Those guys that are off that lead draft, they're looking for a caution. It's going to be really complicated unless they get organized to collect that lead pack out front. Is Kelly doing a good job stringing everybody out, trying to get at that lead group so they can run away and decide this one by themselves.
And that's what you want to do right now when you're Mitch Rollo. You want to look back there and you want to see, well, here, Mike Kelly. That's what you don't want to see is Mike Kelly going for the lead.
Yeah, they're contesting for it going down there. I wonder if somebody could give the high side and say, come on, guys, let's get single file here and see if we could drive off from this one a little bit. But I'll tell you what a good job Kelly has done picking his way through the traffic. Remember, he was one of those cars that went through. There's one upside down sitting on the apron, the number 07. Interesting color for that car. Seth Harrelson finding some trouble in his Monte Carlo sitting upside down. We'll see what happened here.
Yeah, looks like the 02 is Shannon Wood. Again, had a great race going for him tonight. Could have had a tire go down. Don't know. He goes off the corner, completely sideways, dirt track in that car, and back up in the field. What a hit. That is
Wow.
a heck of a hit for the O2
1,
car.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can we get 7? 7 rotations and a half. Double the value from earlier. Well, that's never fun. That'll give you a headache spinning around like that.
Well, it absolutely will give you a headache, and I'm sure the one that's got the headache right now is Mike Kelly and Mitch Rollo, who both have been up here battling and want this race to end. I'm sure a lot of these guys are ready for this race to end. It's been a long race. It's it's exciting. These cars, even when they're at green flag racing, they're on the edge single lap. So as we get ready, we go back. Green should only be around 10 laps to go. And again, back in the throwback series, we don't have a green white check, so this thing's gonna end in 10 laps, thankfully.
Well, Kelly and Rollo didn't want to see that caution, but as we said, Dutton, Yoakum, Montese, they were off the back of that lead pack. Now they get to reset and come back up. But Dutton, what a save. Can he figure out some way to come back through and win this thing after that moment of controversy there where he just got sideways? And I'm not sure if he got any help or lost it on his own, but what a save. That was incredible.
Yeah, that shows the talent level of driving these race cars. And again, you're on edge every single lap. So not much different when you're sideways. Cole just put a little right hand in the right turn in the steering wheel and kept that thing going straight. So yeah, this does help. It re-racks things for Cole Dutton, but he is mired back into traffic. So getting that opportunity to get back into that dominant form that he's been in all tonight is going to take some help. It's going to take some luck on the restart, somebody missing a gear to get him up there quick, because that's what he's going to have. At this stage, you worry about the early quick caution. That's what you don't want to have happen. So you have to be extremely aggressive at this point.
3 car is the lucky dog as Scott, Somke, King, Singman, Wood, Livingston, and Harrelson on pit road. We got to give a nod to Corey Chester. Where did he come from? He was not in the mix till about 4 or 5 laps ago, and then all of a sudden running third. And do you see what's on the side of that car? It says Nintendo, Joey.
There are no games here in Talladega.
Look at that.
Daytona. Let's see, continue the mistakes tonight.
Well, I'm interested to see how the 2 is going to capitalize on this. And now you see somebody in the top 10, Randy Yoakum in the 8. Not seen him all night, but you could play a factor in this before this is over. Right behind him, Mike Montese in the 7. Some of these cars have some damage, but yet we see how well the 99 ran of Jason Barham sitting there in 6. So don't count these guys out. With the draft and with the right moves, they can potentially have something for these guys, although boy, that number 7 looks awful wrinkled.
Yeah, and you mentioned Randy Yoakum. Yoakum's not a big fan of this car, but he has got a race car underneath him. Does not have that much damage, so he's done the right thing tonight as far as keeping his race car clean. He's here at the end of the race. Let's see what he can do with it.
Well, they're going to rack him and stack him again. Mike Kelly is your leader. Mitch Rollo in 2nd. Corey Chester 3rd. Tyler Dalton is in 4th. Josh Parker, Jason Barham make up that 5th and 6th position. Row number 4, Cole Dutton, Jimmy Coleman, and your top 10, Mike Montese and Randy Yoakum. Coming down the back stretch, everybody's going to pull the belts tight. This is it. It's going to be a sprint race, 10 laps. I don't know how you could call yourself a winner here. I'm saying that the 2 car has been the guy making the moves all night long. But the number 5 and the experience of Mike Kelly is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, Mike Kelly, a multiple-time champion here at SIM500. I think you want to be the leader at this point. So I know Mike Kelly wants to get through the gears, get up to speed, and get out to the lead and protect that lead from here on out. That's where you want to be, in my opinion, with just 10 laps to go.
I'm curious to see what Tyler Dalton and Corey Chester do. Those 2 cars in that 2nd row have a lot to do with how this race is going to play out. Are they going to stay with the car in front of them? Are they going to try and duck out and gain a position? Pace truck's about to turn left, and we're going to find out. Kelly brings them down slow. Everybody's tight. You see him coming through the gears as the exhaust pops off, and Kelly hard on the gas. They go across the start-finish line. 10 to go here as they roll off the number 1 turn These guys are side by side, nobody breaking away, but you see a big run for the, I was just going to say the 99, and they're going to get sideways and stack them up. Oh, boy, that's a shame. You could see that one building. I was wondering if the 99 laid back to see if he can get a run, and as he turned down in the corner, he got caught in the quarter panel, turned the car sideways, and then it just was on from there. The number 2, right tight to him. I wonder if he was going to try to dive to the middle, possibly see if he can gain that position. And the 99, not knowing he was there, just came down a little bit. They made contact, and oh boy. Well, that answers the Cole Dutton story, is he got hard into the fence and a lot of damage for that car. And then a couple of those other cars that we called that stayed out of trouble all night long, particularly the 8 car there and the 7 car. You see the 71 going up, making hard contact. Again, major damage for quite a few of these cars that were sitting there in the top 10, hoping to get a good finish, come out of here unscathed, and now they're going to rack them again. But Joey, you had talked about this before. Good place for Mike Kelly and Mitch Rolla to be up front and see whether or not they can protect themselves by running away from all these troubles that are occurring out in the back.
It's the safest place. We've seen most tonight. All the wrecks have been really from the midpoint back. So right now they fought all night long here. These guys, tooth and nail, Cole Dutton, Mike Kelly, Mitch Rollo. They've all been racing. Josh Parker, all extremely tough at the very front of the field. They've been 2 wide, sometimes 3 wide. They've been able to handle those race cars even under the conditions that they're in now with a hot racetrack and a car that's sliding down in the corner. But yeah, tonight you want to, at this point, you want to be the leader. I know Mike Kelly wants to get a great jump here and get out front of the 96. And if a caution comes out, this is Mike Kelly's race.
Yeah, only the 2 drivers involved there know what really happened. It's so hard to call who's going to be at fault there. But, you know, when someone has a run on you, you can't think that you're going to cut them off. When they have the momentum, especially this late in the race, and you throw the block, most likely they're going to run over you instead of being run over themselves. And it's just a matter of both drivers fighting for the right real estate. Not sure if the 99 got loose, misjudged him, didn't know he was there, but contact again, unfortunately, is going to bring us under yellow. What is this, 8 or 9, I think? But yeah, this is going to make it even more of a pressure-packed sprint to the finish to see whether or not Mike Kelly can pull off the win here tonight.
Yeah, and going back to that caution, you know, it looked like Jason Barham did get off to a decent start, but the Cole Dutton machine was definitely trying to make his move to the front as fast as he could. And again, it didn't look like the 99 car came down. It just looked like there just wasn't any room at that point for the 2 car to make that move, and unfortunately wiped out the rest of the cars that weren't damaged inside the top 5.
You have to say, I'm surprised by the number of contact incidents we have, but not to be unexpected. We said on the opening that you have a lot of new drivers not familiar with each other. First race of the season. Let's hope they get all these gremlins out. I anticipate that we're going to see nose to tail green flag runs through the rest of the season. We get to tracks like Michigan, California, and others. If we look at the season, where do we leave from here? We go over to Michigan, big wide racetrack, multiple lanes, and suspect that these drivers will be a little more tepid when they come into that. They're going to get, you know, it helps itself, Joey, because if they want to be a factor in the point standings, almost everybody had some trouble, but they can't afford to have 2 weeks in a row. So, you know, a lot of these drivers are going to look for a clean race, more conservative race going into Michigan next week.
Well, we talked earlier about Bill Schoonover, a car that was damaged, and he said, is he laying back? Well, heck, Bill's back in the top 10 right now with that course like 09 right there. So Bill's up to the 8th spot. A guy we haven't talked much about tonight. He got in the race last minute, the 31 of Jimmy Coleman. He's sitting here in the 6th spot. Heck, if they get into a battle up front, he could be sitting pretty right now, as well as Josh Parker. The 94, look how much damage that car has right there. He's sitting in the 7th spot there, Todd Kirkwood, and that Bill Elliott Elliott McDonald's looking ride there, still trucking. But right now we're getting ready to finish this thing up, and it is going to be interesting. Right now this race is going to come down to Mike Kelly or Mitch Rollo, and who's going to give them the push that's going to give them the advantage.
Yeah, the 94 is wrinkled on the front and's got a heck of a divot in the back. As we roll out of turn number 4, one more time under caution, about to throw the green flag in the air. It is Kelly on the pole, trying to see what he could do to get a clean start. He knows that laps are ticking down. He wants to see if he can get himself out, protect that lead. Rollo, he has different ideas about this. Kicks in the green flag. Here comes Kelly with a good start on the inside. The 9 has laid off a little bit, and we'll see what the outside lane can do going into turn number 1.
Off into one they go. Mike Kelly's got the lead. Tyler Dutton going to give him a push, but Mitch Rollo actually doing it by himself. He got a great run in there. He came down, kind of pinched the 9 to kind of slow the run down. Josh Parker now going to go up with him. We're going to have a heck of a battle down the back straightaway. Remember, no green, white checkers, so the next caution could end this race.
2 by 2 by 2 through the top 6. Here they come into turn number 3. Josh Parker trying to push the 98 machine of Rollo to the lead. Kelly looking to see if he can hold serve down there on the bottom. Here comes the 9. You have to wonder if any of these drivers are looking for their opportunity to pop out as they come across the stripe. 4 to go. And man, it's going to get racy up front here in just a moment.
It's racy as they get into turn 1. Sideways in the corner, Josh Parker again. He saved that race car a while ago from getting in the back of Cole Dutton. He's fought his way back up here to the lead. You know he likes to be up front. Watch the 23s. He pushes the 98 down the back straightaway. He's just looking for that opportunity right now to pop out and take the lead of this race.
You could throw a blanket over your top 5, then a little bit gap back to Jimmy Coleman. You have to know whether Coleman can grab that draft or he's just hanging back to see if these guys get trouble sideways. And there he goes into the wall, the 98, and unfortunately Coleman got a tag on it. Oh, you could just see that building as they were so tight in there, no room for error, and it was inevitable somebody was going to lose a handle. What an unfortunate break for Mitch Rollo. Had such a strong run as we see Josh Parker through the grass. That's got to be devastating for these guys. You know, Joey, we said it, you could run up front, and with just a handful of laps to go, this is what's going to be the end of your race.
Just an unpredictable car right now for a lot of these guys. The 98 of Mitch Rollo just completely sideways off the corner. They're too tight. There was nothing Josh Parker could have done in that situation. Unfortunate contact in 2 race cars, 2 drivers' nights that have been up front all night long. But again, the leader, Mike Kelly, right place out front. This could, and it should be the end of the race here. Mike Kelly puts that number 5 in victory lane.
Kelly, Dalton, Chester, Scott, and Scootover, your top 5. They're going to collect, and we'll see whether or not we go back to green, but I don't believe that's going to be the case. This is likely your finishing order. All they have to do is keep those cars straight under caution here and get back to the checkered flag.
Well, it has been an interesting night for sure, Kevin. And one car we did mention as they started the second row, Mike Kelly and Mr. Tyler Dalton. Those are 2 cars we talked about earlier tonight. They are here to finish the race. These are going to be guys that are going to run for this championship. They raced one of the most technical, the hardest races, the open race at one of the tougher tracks with a new package. They survived being smaller racetrack, and that's what it's going to take to win the championship.
Yeah, Joey, we have to come back to the broadcaster picks. Who had the 5?
I don't remember. I've had so many problems. I can't remember my name right now.
I don't know. Producer, who had the 5?
I'm not sure.
I believe it was me.
1 for 1 in your return. Congratulations, sir.
How about that? Let's see if we can keep that going for all 11 races.
Well, if you keep picking the 5 car, you're gonna have a great chance every week to win.
Yeah, you know, that's it is a strategy, but I don't know. So let's give you your top 10. Kelly, Dalton, Chester, Scott, Schoonover, Kirkwood, Dutton, Mustaine Jr. Do we even call him at all during the night? Finished 8th. Jason Barnum and Gerald Livingston in the 97 finished 10th. And 3 of those cars, Mustaine. Barnum was up there for a period of time, but Livingston and others got a good finish out of this, just gutted it out. And let me tell you, First race of the season, that's all you want to do is get out unscathed. Joey, for a super speedway, a lot of these cars look like they've been run in Martinsville.
Just kind of going through the top 10 right now. You can take a look. The number 3 car just got the lucky dog. About a caution, maybe 2 cautions ago. It looks like he's going to come home with an 8th place finish.
Yeah.
So a rough night for the number 3 car, John Mustaine Jr. But man, coming back with a top 10 in a 40 car field, not too shabby.
Yeah, and Cole Dutton, he may not have gotten the finish that he wants, but he's going to finish 7th here, it looks like. And after the eventful end to this race, he's going to eke out a top 10. So I guess you're going to take that and run to Michigan with it.
Well, one thing I want to look at real quick here, Kevin, is it looks like these guys are going 2x2 here. So we may very well have 3 laps to go. I'm looking at the pace truck. Doesn't look like those lights are on. So we may very well have a 3-lap shootout here.
How about that? Yeah, so we could rack them up and see what happens here. It's not over yet. And look at the 33 of Forrest Scott running 4th. I literally believe that's the first time, other than incidental calls, where we've called that car into the top 10.
Yeah, Forrest, the 33 cars had an extremely difficult night, multiple incidents. And you mentioned a while ago the 3 of John Mustaine Jr. He's actually in the top 10. He was the car that we talked about having mechanical problems. Look, the 33 now, he's having issues as he's falling back. The night continues for the 33.
You have to wonder if he has a penalty and he's going to the back. And they're resetting the lineup here. Well, it looks like the lights are off. We're going to see if we get to go back.
That was one of the strangest things I've ever seen. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. I think we're going back. Okay, one more shot at it. We're going to see where this ends.
Yeah, I always talk about the broadcasters knowing what's going on. Heck, I don't even know. We got a smoking car out there, the 71 of Zurich. Hopefully he doesn't have any issues with the cars around him, but we're back to green. Mike Kelly's going to get the jump on the green-white checker.
He got a good jump going out of that restart zone. And here comes the 9 to the outside. We'll see whether or not Tyler Dalton can get a run. If I'm Mike Kelly, I'm making that car awful wide. And look at the 6 of Corey Chester hunting the lead right there in 2nd place. He's got no friends behind him, but he is tucked in tight to the 5. Are they working together, the 5 and the 6? Sure looks that way.
Well, they need to be right now. Mike Kelly's got some guys. He hasn't raced a whole bunch tonight. Caution out. Caution on the racetrack. And this now will end the race.
I'm kind of confused. Again, first time back in a long time, why we went back to green and some of those laps didn't tick off like we thought they were going to. But let's see what happens here as they come across. Still says 2 to go. Now it says 1 to go. Okay, so the laps are going to count down.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day today, Kevin. It's race caution. Race caution.
Yeah.
Get us out of Daytona, please. Mike Kelly to victory lane. He picks up where he left off in the last segment. Again, Mike Kelly he finished 2nd to Doy Woods in the championship. He comes out here and jumps on top of the field. Raced extremely smart tonight and will win Daytona in what was a marathon event tonight. Definitely a well-earned victory for Mike Kelly.
Yeah, it looks like maybe we had 16 or 17 cars finish on the lead lap. A lot of cars were in the pit lane getting fixed for damage, lost a lap. And it certainly has been a night of attrition, but if you played your cards right, you could have got yourself out of here with a top 10, maybe a top 15. There was a lot of drivers entered into this race, and certainly you could see who figured out the right formula. And there's no better way to do it than the way that Mike Kelly did. Charge your way through after that first pit stop, get yourself out front, stay out in trouble. Here they come down for the last time. They're going to roll through the tri-oval, and Mike Kelly is going to pick up the win. First win of the season. Great way to start it off. Corey Chester 2nd, Tyler Dalton 3rd, Todd Kirkwood comes home 4th, and rounding out your top 5 tonight, the veteran, Bill Schoonover. And I'll tell you what, some of these guys even though it was a rather eventful race, Joey, they got to be happy with the result.
Yes, to finish the race, you've got to be happy. It was definitely a rough one. Some of these guys, though, I mean, we look at how much damage they had. It's just amazing what your top 10 looks like right now. And you mentioned it a while ago. It looks like we're at Bristol here with these 87 Cup cars. These crews are going to have to go back to work, thrash on these race cars, getting ready for next weekend's race.
In the paint scheme, Jeff Bodine, made famous, won the first race for Hendrick Motorsports at Martinsville to start it all off. Mike Kelly is your winner tonight in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, and we'll be back to talk to him right after this commercial.
Have you seen my kick-ass subscription box anywhere? Oh, there it is.
Welcome back to the SIM500 network, the Daytona 200 in the books. Right now, Mike Kelly making his way down to victory lane. We're going to take a moment to catch up with our third place finisher tonight, Tyler Dalton. Tyler, eventful night tonight for the opener.
Yeah, definitely eventful. It seems like they enjoyed running around under caution more than running under green, but the green we did have, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it looked like the cars were a handful, but you guys had the right strategy to get yourself up there. You were side by side for the restart there. How did the strategy work out on that? Take us through the last lap and your opportunity to try and wrestle that away from Mike.
Well, I think, honestly, I started in the wrong gear. I started in second. I think I should have started in first, the way we were sort of laying back a little bit there, and that let Mike get a good jump there, and then I thought we were going to have a really good shot. We had my teammate behind me, so coming to the last lap, I thought we were going to have a good shot to get up there and maybe even get a win, but fortunately there were some shenanigans that brought out a caution, but can't blame the admin for that. They try to do best that they can do. They did a good job throughout the race. Like I said, after winning last night, then we finished third tonight, I'm not going to complain.
When you look at the season, first race of 11, your goals are obviously to try and get some wins, but certainly top fives, top tens help in the long run. And a second or a third place finish coming out of here, that's a good way to start 11 race run.
Oh, definitely. I always like to think of the first few races of any league season as sort of trap races, because those are the races where if you don't have a good run, you're going to get the least number of points. So to get a good finish in some of the first few races of a season is always very important.
Looked like the cars were a bit of a handful as you were rolling into the corners. They were sideways, they were dancing on the backstretch. How did the car drive tonight?
It was definitely a handful. I don't think you wanted to be more than two wide through the tri-oval. At one point, I'm thinking the car was really tight on entry, and I looked down, we're doing 219 into turn three. So hard to make it stick when we're going that fast in turn three. But overall, I thought the car drove pretty good. Just we had a few drivers that were a little bit over anxious, but overall, pretty good race.
Yeah, as you were coming down out of turn two on that final lap on the outside, it looked like you were going to have a run, but unfortunately, the yellow flag put an end to any chances that you had. Still a good night for you, clean night in the context of figuring out the strategy and finding your way towards the back when troubles were occurring, and then being able to drive through the field. Did Schoonover help you with that as you were rolling through?
No, it was me and Kirkwood, our teammate. He finished right behind me, but my strategy was to pit as soon as I could and still make it on fuel. So as soon as I pitted, I actually came back down and topped off of fuel. I was a tiny bit short there. We actually lost the draft due to a lap car not getting caught back up, but then we got the caution we needed towards the end, and we were able to save enough fuel. So we pretty much were one of the last guys that stayed out. We pitted the soonest, so that allowed us to get some track position.
You said, Tyler, a good week of racing for you. Third place as you take that and head into Michigan. We'll see you next week. And congratulations on a top five in the first run.
Thank you. I think, again, teammate Todd Kirkwood of Kirkwood Enterprises. You see here some of his logos on the car. So always nice to be running a race with him as well.
There you go. Tyler Dalton is your third place finish here tonight. We're going to turn it over to Joey, who's caught up with the second place driver, Corey Chester.
Well, Corey's down here leaned up against number 6. Corey, tell us about it. It's been a long day. I can tell it was a long day in the booth. How was it out there in the race car?
Man, this car was it was a little squirrely. And then later on in the race, I started feeling like it was getting loose coming into the turns in the back end a bit, but got it caught up in some of that mid-race incidents and put me way at the back. And luckily, I just kept racing clean and got caught back up. And then another good luck shot was caution came out. I already had enough fuel, so I was able to stay out, get me back up in the top 10, and then just hung on.
It was a heck of a race. Corey, what strategy did you have? I mean, did you take tires early? I mean, we weren't really able to. We caught you here toward the tail of the race, and you were extremely strong. With your strategy, when you got to the front, also explain what your options were to take the lead of this race.
Yeah, I did not take tires the whole race. I was on the original set because I know super speedways, tires are it's risky, especially with position and super speedways. It's more about position and fuel. So I didn't take that. I did have a strategy for Mike Kelly there at the end because this is the second time I finished second at Daytona behind him, and I wanted to get him back, but just that unfortunate caution right at the end, wasn't able to battle it out. And I knew Tyler was right in my rear quarter, just coming up fast. And yeah, that was my strategy. I did have a strategy. I'm not going to explain it because probably again next time at Daytona it'll be me and Mike up there again.
That's great stuff. Well, Corey, anybody you want to thank? And again, congratulations on that solid second place run starting out your season here in the Kick-Ass Classic Cup Series at SIM500.
I want to thank Ricky for running this again, and you and SIM500. I love racing these cars. SIM500 is the best league out there, in my opinion.
Well, there he is, guys. Second place finisher Corey Chester. He's going to get on a plane, head back to Canada, and get out of Daytona. Over to you, Kevin.
Kevin down here in Victory Lane, the SIM500 Thursday Night Classic Cup winner. Race number 1, Mike Kelly. Mike, congratulations on the win here tonight.
Well, thanks, Kevin. Kind of an anticlimactic finish to an event-filled race, but I'll take it. It was after a disappointing points defeat for the championship in the last series, it's good to come out of the box strong and get a win tonight.
It's complicated to kind of figure out a strategy when we watch from the booth, but I would use one word to describe your drive tonight: methodical. One pit stop, kept yourself clean, made the right moves, got up front, and then it sure looked like you dared anybody to take it away from you.
Yeah, that old Levi Garrett Hendricks Monte Carlo was a handful. He just kind of threw that old heavy shoebox into the corner and held on. And I was able to get a good qualifying spot and stay up front. Like, track position, very, very important. Couldn't really go 3 wide. It was just too hairy. So I just tried to hold my own. And with all the yellows, it was hard figuring out when to go, because we got in our window, and usually you want to get in there and just go as soon as the window's open, treat it kind of like a road course. So I kind of did it like that. We got close to halfway, and I figured I could make it to the end, especially if the yellows kept flowing. And I did take 4 tires at that point, so I think having a little bit fresher tires at the end than some guys helped out, because I could hold it low good.
Yeah, and that did look like to be the combination. If you could drive it in the corner and hold your line and just be in control if somebody got out of shape in front of you, it looked easy from our vantage point, but I'm sure you had plenty of nervous moments through this race as you worked your way back through the field after pitting about the halfway point.
Yeah, you do, but this race was pretty calm, I have to say. I mean, it's intense when you're up front running, and it's like that. That's intense. I mean, yellow flags, your heart's beating like crazy. But I didn't really have to drive through many wrecks, so that's good. My teammate Scott Simley unfortunately got killed right after he did his pit strategy. So that's always a risk you take when you go in and pit and get. I was like 15th when I came back out, so it was a rough place to be tonight. But I got back up to the front there quick and just barely squeaked by that late race wreck that was up front and took her to the win.
Yeah, Mike, it's a stout field. We see a lot of really good drivers through the ranks in there, and to be able to come out, that's a great way to get the season started. What do you got for them coming up in Michigan?
I don't know what it is with this car. I can't find my head from a hole in the ground in most of these SIM500 series lately. But, man, this car and me, we just really jive, and it suits my style. I guess maybe kind of a dirt track style since I'm an old dirt racer. So very stout field, a lot of great big super speedway racers, and that's pretty much all we're running in this series, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So glad to get a win under my belt and get out front in the points.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the days of running trucks back in the NAS series with you. Looked like you had a good run here tonight. Anybody want to give a shout out to before we close it up?
Yeah, you were fast, man. Don't take anything away from this announcer guy. He can drive. But mainly you guys for putting on these broadcasts. They're great. I love watching them. Joey G and the gang at SIM500, fabulous league. And Turn One Heroes, me and Scott Simley from the gang of guys running the series this season. Hopefully we'll have good luck. And thanks to all the sponsors. And it's great to be in Victory Lane. Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations, Mike. Enjoy it. You get to carry yourself as the winner into Michigan, and we'll look forward to seeing how you fare next week. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, I also I said the sponsors, but specifically Kick-Ass Beef Jerky. Got to thank those guys a lot.
Thanks a lot. There's your winner, Mike Kelly. Joey? Yeah, a little bit of a calamity in some of the events, but still we saw great racing here throughout, and I'm really looking forward, excited to see what happens next week.
Yeah, Kevin, it was exciting for sure. I can say that I'd much rather be down that racetrack. So hopefully we come back to Michigan, the 14 will be back on the racetrack. But it was, again, for our first time back in the booth or back with the SIM500 network. We've actually done 2 events prior to this. So this was our 3rd event. I got to thank Paul Strickland for all the help he's doing with Vidane TV coming over and helping us. We've got a great Vidane Super Speedway Series fixing. It's been announced. We've got the belt. The belt is back for all you guys out there that are familiar with that. We've got the schedule announcement here soon, and we'll start taking entries. So hopefully we'll have a little bit better race than this come on Saturdays, Paul, in December. But we're excited about that. Kevin, glad to have you back up here working, and that's your first race in how many years. But definitely glad to have you guys. It was a joy to work with you in the first race. and I look forward to seeing what you guys bring the rest of the season. So thanks for having me up here. I don't want to come back. Thanks so much.
Always great to work with you, Joey. It's the first time I personally got to work with you up here in the booth, and well, you did pretty damn good. But it'll be exciting to see you on the track. And man, it's great to be partially. I'm going to take a little bit of credit here. I'm going to say I'm a little bit partially the reason that Kevin England came back to make his return, his triumphant return to the Sim Race broadcast booth. So Kevin, great working with you here tonight as well. A little bit of demons here in the booth and the production truck, but we're going to shoo those mice out of the way and make sure they don't chew on the wires for next week. But man, oh man, we had a great race this evening, and we got a bunch more on tap. We're going to be coming back next Thursday, as you heard, as Kevin and Joey alluded to, for the Michigan 150 here for SIM500. And we're just going to take a quick little peek here at the Verdane TV powered by SIM500 network schedule. We've got NEPS, the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing Series. They're going to be running the Charles Lewandowski 75, the virtual fall final at Stafford Speedway. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, my home track, Stafford Motor Speedway, we don't get to party it up like we always do for the last race of the season. Don't get to camp out, drink some beers, and hang out with the fans, unfortunately, due to all the restrictions here in the state of Connecticut. But it's going to be cool to see those guys this Monday night. They're going to be doing the virtual fall final at Stafford Speedway. Going to be a great race. Those guys always put on one heck of a show. And then we've got the RBR Maritime League coming out here next Tuesday night, October 6th, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to be making their first start of the season here, and they're debuting on Verdane TV. And then you can see we flip back and forth, SIM500, Michigan 150, and the SIM500 Talladega 175 there on October 15th. And we got to keep that doggy there. Save the date, as Tim Terry said, from Tim's Corner Motorsports, the week of November 16th to the 20th. Going to be doing some special Tim's Corner Motorsports races, kind of finalizing with almost like a championship deal on Friday night. So definitely don't want to miss that. But man, oh man, here from SIM500, the SIM500 network, the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky Classic Cup Series. Make sure you order your Kick-Ass Beef Jerky, kickassbeefjerky.com. Promo code SIM500, save yourself 19% off of that. I know this guy's going to be ordering some of that first thing tomorrow morning, as soon as that direct deposit hits. But thank you guys so much here for joining us, Kevin, Joey, and myself. Thank you for welcoming us into your homes, and we hope this broadcast made it to you in good health. But if not, we hope you get better real soon. Thanks so much here from the SIM500 Network. Thanks so much from Verdane TV. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.